anything you've been putting off. Maybe you say, someday I'll do that, or when I have more time. Whether the item is a big bucket list item or something smaller like going on a hike, now is the time to start your Say Yes list. And we have the perfect process to help you turn these items into reality. Join thousands of others with our free Say Yes list template at thesayyesexperience.com/list. It'll help you stop living in that someday and start making those list items come true today. So download it now at thesayyesexperience.com/list. Welcome to the Say Yes Experience podcast, where we inspire you to get out of your comfort zone and into possibility. Our mission at the Say Yes Experience is to empower 10 million people to say yes. If you're new here, welcome. We're thrilled you're here. I'm Jessica Rector. I co-founded the Say Yes Experience with my then 9-year-old son Blaze, based off his idea to let's just say yes to things. I'm one of the top experts on burnout, and companies and conferences hire me to present on mental health, wellness, and burnout prevention. As the #1 best-selling author of 11 books, keynote speaker, and a burnout specialist, I've seen so much with our clients. The Say Yes Experience was started to help you really start living, to do the things that light you up, have more fun, and turn your dreams, or what we call Say Yes list items, into reality. So thank you for investing in yourself and being here. Now let's make it happen. What would you do if you got an email to a party and that email wasn't really meant for you? Would you not even open it, think it was spam, or ignore it? Maybe glance over it and then discard it? Maybe you think about what you would say, but never actually reply. Well, Will Novak said yes to sending a reply to that email, and he even got a response back. And then the bachelor party email went viral, with everyone wanting to be a part of it. Will shares how one say yes turned into multiple yeses, the impact it had on millions, and how Good Morning America and Seth Meyers became a part of the viral sensation. And now a movie is in the works about it too. Please help me welcome my guest today, Will Novak. We are excited you are here, Will. I love your story, and it all begins by you mistakenly receiving an email that was intended for someone else. So tell us how that came about.
It was a couple of years back. I was sitting at work one day, just bored at the end of my day, and I had the habit of always checking my work email and also my personal email before I, left my workstation for the day. And so one day I clicked to open my email, and in my personal email, I see this invite that says, "Urgent, Angelo's bachelor party, reply right away." I don't know anybody named Angelo. What the heck is this? So I open it up and I start reading, and it's talking about this crazy bachelor party, skiing, drinking, other stuff, being crazy, jumping off ski lifts, wild and crazy X Games kind of stuff. And then I'm starting to think, like, is this one of these weird, Nigerian prince kind of emails? What is this? And I'm reading more and more through it, and I see there's a bunch of people CC'd on it, and it's like a bunch of particulars about, like, where are we going to meet and whose wife can make us snacks. And it was just all this about particulars. And then at the bottom of the email, it said, we still haven't heard from the following guys. And one of them was named Bill Novak. I go by Will, but then I realized, oh, clearly one of their friends has the same full name as me. His email must be close. They must have made a mistake and sent it to me on accident. So I almost deleted it, but I don't know. I was in a cheeky mood. I had drank too much Mountain Dew that day or something. And so I hit reply all, and I said, F it, count me in. And then I wrote back this big email about, let's hang out all the time. Let's paint our nails. We can talk about boys at school. And I was just treating it as if I was being invited to, like, a tween girls slumber party. I just silly and didn't really think anything of it, and, sent it all along the way. And then a day or so later, the guys wrote back and they're like, that was the best reply to an email we've ever gotten. You may think this is a joke, but you should come to Vermont. We want to meet you. You seem like a lot of fun. And so then I was like, well, sure, I'll come to Vermont. And I started thinking about it. I was like, are you kidding? And they're like, we're not kidding if you're not kidding. And I was like, well, are you murderers? And they're like, no, we're not murderers. And they asked me if I was a murderer. And I also said no, which if you both say, no, we're not murderers, then, legally, yeah, you're not allowed to do murders at that point. So they're like, how do we know you're real? Can you send us a picture of you? So I sent them a picture of me doing karate against my sister in 2nd grade, because I wanted them to know I have at least second grade level karate skills, and they shouldn't mess with me. I'm a stone cold killer. And they appreciate the picture. And they like the picture so much. They printed out these bachelor party t-shirts, and they put me doing karate against my sister on the shirts. And so they're like, no, you should come. It's going to be so much fun. And at that point, I was like, well, maybe, sure. And so I asked my wife. At that point, we had just remodeled our historic home. We had a 10-month-old daughter. We were pretty broke and exhausted. And, life was not all easy at the time. And she's like, sure, you can go on this trip, but don't spend any money. I'm like, well, how am I going to get there? I live in Arizona. How do I get to Vermont?
Oh, yeah.
That stuff.
Challenge.
And, it wasn't a lot of money. It was like a little under $1,000. But at the time, we were pretty broke. And so my buddy Jeff said,
when you're broke, $1,000 is a lot of money, especially when you just had a baby and you're remodeled and all those things.
Yeah, we spent our life savings on remodeling this fixer-upper house that we had, still have. And so my buddy said, do a GoFundMe. And I was like, that'll never work. Those things never work. So I put up this GoFundMe that said, help me go to a stranger's bachelor party. I tweeted it out. I sat down to dinner with my wife, get up from dinner. My phone is just like vibrating like nonstop. And I look at my dinner on my phone, and we had hit like $5,000. People just, I don't know, it tickled them. They thought it was silly fun. And so people started retweeting it and getting hundreds of retweets and likes and shares. And then the local media started picking it up, and everybody was very concerned about my safety, which was lovely. They were really worried these guys were going to, I don't know, I was going to fly there and they were going to wear my skin as a coat. I have no idea. So yeah, there was a lot of concerns about that. But then immediately, so once I realized, well, we've way overshot the mark here, I shut the go. I didn't need all this extra money. And then, but that point I realized, oh, well, this is going to really happen now. Cause like I've told the internet, I've kind of blackmailed myself. And luckily there wasn't too much time to think about it. I believe the initial email was a Monday or a Tuesday, and the bachelor party was like that Friday. So there wasn't
so there was a massive quick turnaround. So you didn't know anything. You didn't know anything about these people. Did you happen to go on any social media or Google any of them to even see who any of them were before you said, let's go to this stranger bachelor party?
When I first wrote the reply, I didn't, because I didn't think I was going. I was just writing a silly reply. But one thing I did do in the initial reply is I wrote back, I'm so happy for Angelo and his bride or groom to be. And the reason I put that in is because I figured if they were real cavemen, homophobe, negative people, they would be like, oh, it's not a groom. I would, they would maybe react to that. And they didn't say anything. They just took that in stride. And I was like, okay, that was my little, test to see if these guys are open-minded and welcoming and all those things. And like, oh, it's a bride, but, they were very cool about it. So I was like, okay, these are, cool guys. And then once the GoFundMe happened, yes, then I looked them up, and I could tell by the email too that, so I'm pushing 40, and at the time I was 37, 36. Yeah, but a couple of years ago. Just by the email, you could tell they were not talking about, we got to plan out snacks and where can we meet. It was very organized, and it was obvious that their buddy Angelo was just the one, there's always one guy in the group that gets married. He's like the first one, and then there's always the group guy that's like the last one. So Angelo's around my age. It was just the last one in his group of friends to find his sweetheart. And so, I thought, hey, what the heck? Let's go for it. And I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? Most of them live in either New York or New Jersey. A couple of them went to the University of Vermont, and they were on the ski team. So these guys are incredible skiers.
Wow.
I'm from the desert. I had only ever skied once at that point in my life. It was the weekend that Sonny Bono skied into a tree and died. I was on a church.
Oh my God. Oh,
I stayed.
No more. So what did you initially think, when they actually emailed you back that first time?
Oh, just that it was a joke. There was never, until the GoFundMe, it was just seeing who would push the joke farther, kind of. I was being silly, then they would be silly. We started talking about the old 80s TV show Alf for some reason.
Yeah.
And how
I remember that show.
Shirts and stuff, and that Angelo loved Alf, and that if I come, I should bring him an Alf plushie or something. So yeah, there wasn't time to think about it. I was working. I had a baby. I wasn't sleeping. I was on crazy baby brain, and so, yeah, so there was no thinking about it really. But then once the GoFundMe happened and I realized, okay, this is really going to happen, then I did take some precautions. Like they told me to fly into whatever the airport is in Vermont. And I was like, well, one, the tickets were much more pricey to fly there. So I was like, I flew to Boston and rented my own car because I thought, okay, well, I don't want to just get in these guys' van and who knows, or what if not even for safety, but just what if we don't get along? And I wanted a vehicle to be able to get out of there. So that was kind of a precaution that I took, but, nothing too serious.
I love it. And so it's so fun, but it's so funny because how often do we look at something like that if that were to happen to us and just go, okay, I'm going to write something funny back. But then even when they said, hey, come out, are you serious? I'm serious. Like that, you would have said no. Many people would have just not even done the GoFundMe because they would have said no initially. Are you serious? I'm serious. Yeah. Okay. Let's make it happen. So you had to be somewhat serious in order to even the GoFundMe up. Did you actually think that the GoFundMe would get funded?
No, I did it because my buddy Jeff was so confident that it would work. And I wanted to prove that he's an idiot. So obviously I'm the idiot. He was very right. Yeah. It was just like, all right. Cause he kept bugging me. He's like, do it. And I'm like, all right, well, yeah, we'll fine. Shut up. It was, yeah, no, did not think it would get funded, and it was crazy that it did. Went way over real quick. So yeah, that was a crazy thing. And then after that happened, and it started going kind of viral locally, and the local news reached out. I was on all these local news channels, and then all these companies reached out and said, hey, can we send you beef jerky? Hey, can we send you guys beer to the party? Can we send you cigars? Can we send you t-shirts? Yeah. And they're like, oh, we want to bring, because the people were following it online. So people like, different companies, wanted to get in on it. Like, hey, bring a gift to Angelo. So send me sunglasses and t-shirts and ski lift tickets. And when I got to Sky Harbor Airport in Phoenix, the local news was there. And there's like people in the airport like, who is this idiot? And what is going on? And like, they just let me skip all the TSA lines. Like, oh, no, you don't need to go through that. Come over here. And, and I get on the plane, like, do you want to sit in? It wasn't a plane that had first class, but it had like coach and business class. You could sit in business class. I'm like, okay. And they hand me like a little bag full of American Airlines, a little like airline booze, like take this to the boys. And everyone just join in on the fun and the silliness. And they did have the bachelor party guys had said in the initial email, Angelo loves to wear crazy costumes, so be sure to wear a crazy outfit. I don't have a lot of crazy outfits. I'm not a crazy outfit guy. So I went to Goodwill and I got this like jumpsuit that was red, white, and blue, like American flag. And well, you can tell, but I have red hair. I'm the age I am, and I'm flying to the snow. And all these people on the airplane thought I was Shaun White, the snowboarder. So because they see everybody.
Wow, like him.
Yeah. And they see that like I'm getting this weird VIP treatment, and like that I get on the plane late and get sat down and give all these. And so this lady said, are you Shaun White, the snowboarder? I was just like, yeah, I am. Just going with it. It was cracking me up.
Like Shaun White, the snowboarder. You do. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so fun. So when it finally got funded, which I think is amazing, I think it's so amazing. It's such a feel-good story that people want to get on board. People want to see it succeed. So once it got funded, what did your wife think? Did she ever think it was going to get funded, or she's like, okay, yeah, go ahead, and then what did she think?
She was just like, oh, cool. Like, it was just like, okay, well, now we got to help find childcare, and who's going to help me watch the baby, and let's get some friends over. And I mean, she was happy to have me out of her hair for a long weekend. It was a blessing for her. And she just got to have like a girls' weekend, and she had friends, her daughter Olivia, and they were all watching it together. And yeah, it was just fun. We were just kind of going with the vibe. My wife has a very adventurous spirit. That's part of why I fell in love with her. She's from Arizona, same as me, but she had gone actually to Boston University and stayed out there after college. And when we met, she was back here visiting her mom on a trip, and we dated for like a week. And then she's like, I got to go back to Boston. And I said, cool, I'll move to Boston with you. And she said, great. So I moved across the country to be with her on a whim, because when a pretty blonde girl tells you to move in with her, you say yes when you look like, so yeah, she's a very adventurous, always up for, she was all for it.
I love it. So once you actually get there, you get your car. What was that first meeting like with them?
Well, before we even got to the meeting, so we land at the airport, and then there's Boston local media, because at this point now, national ABC had talked about it, the BBC had talked about it, the Washington Post, the Washington Post, the paper.
Going viral. It's gone everywhere.
Everywhere. I talked to some newspaper in Spain. I did a video shoot with a show called Sunrise, which is like the Good Morning America of Australia. And so I land in Boston. There's media greeting me off the plane, and I'm like, like a president coming off a plane, like, hello. And I'm like giving interviews, and they're like, why are you doing this? And I'm like, why do you care? That was the big thing. I'm like, why does anyone care? I don't know, but okay, they're having fun. And it was I noticed online was a lot of moms following me. It was interesting. I think there was a lot of, wanting to be a parent and You don't get to go have a silly adventure. And I think they're kind of living vicariously through it.
Yeah.
And when I got there was a guy there who owns a brewery in Boston called Night Shift, and he had 2 huge pallets full of beers. He's like, I got this for the guys. And he has like this giant, like industrial push cart. And I'm like, I don't know how to carry all this beer. And I had to go to the rental car center, which in Boston is like off a little bit. You have to, take a little shuttle there. I'm like, I don't know what to do about the beer. He's like, well, put the beer back in my truck. You get in my truck and I'll take you to the rental car center. So now I'm helping this guy pile beer into his truck, and I'm laying in the back of his truck, like, because there's nowhere to sit because there's so much beer, and a guy I don't even know.
Do you want to start saying yes, but you just don't know where to start? And oftentimes when we don't know where to start, we just don't start. So we created an ebook just for you. We put together 101 ways to say yes. In this ebook, ideas big and small, things that only take a small amount of time, like 1 to 2 minutes. Whether you're saying yes to yourself, in your family, relationships, or pushing yourself lovingly outside of your comfort zone with adventures, it's all made to really help you become more of your rock star self. So you can get this ebook at thesayyesexperience.com/book, BOOK. So if you want to start saying yes, or maybe you need some ideas on how to say yes because you get so caught up in being busy and doing tasks and projects or doing laundry and cooking that the time flies by and you want to spend time with your family, but you just don't know how to say yes. Those ideas just don't come to you. We put it together to make it super, super easy for you. So go to thesayyesexperience.com/book to get your copy today and start saying yes now. Are you feeling overwhelmed, stressed, or burned out? We get it. You're not alone. In fact, according to our research, 79% of the workforce is in burnout, and almost half are in extreme burnout. In fact, it's the number one reason why people are leaving organizations. They're burned out. They're looking for something more. They're looking for something better. But it doesn't have to be that way. We have your solution. It's called Blaze Your Brain to Extinguish Burnout. 52 Keys to Prevent, Breakthrough, and Eliminate Burnout. You can find your copy at jessicarector.com/store. Now, this is a great tool that you can use with yourself, with your colleagues, within your organization. Everyone can get one, and you can go through one a week with them. And at the end, you can say, what was something that worked this week? What was the success you had? So you can champion and encourage each other. You can also ask what were the challenges and issues that came up, so you can mastermind and brainstorm around those to keep those from coming up in the future. So make sure you get your copy at jessicarector.com/store. All books are autographed with a personal message just for you.
He takes me to the car rental center. I had reserved a $19 a day minivan that was on a special deal because I was trying to be very respectful of the GoFundMe money that people had spent. So we get to the rental car center, and I had rented this cheap minivan because it was the best deal. And I get there, and the rental car people had heard about all the craziness and the virality. And they said, it's going to be snowing. You need a car with 4-wheel drive. You need an SUV. We've upgraded you to an SUV. So we go around the corner. We go into this part of the rental car center called Enterprise Exotics. And they said, how about this Maserati Levant, which is a $90,000 Maserati SUV race car, crazy contraption. And at that point, I was driving a 2005 Pontiac Vibe with 200,000 miles that barely ran. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll drive this. And it was like a Night Rider car. You could talk to it. When you get in, it like lowers itself so that you can the stuff. And it's got heated and cooled seats and just auto drive and all this. And so then I was like, I don't even know how to drive a car this fancy. So I had to go I found a nearby mall, and like went to the parking lot like a teenager learning to drive, because I was like, how do I even make this car go?
That is awesome.
Yeah, and then I started driving to Vermont in the middle of the night because I landed at like 10 at night, and all these people are tweeting at me and Facebook messaging me and Instagram saying, hey, I own a brewery in New Hampshire. I own a restaurant. I live here. One guy reached out to me and said, my wife just left me. I'm depressed, and I want to give the guys a case of beer. You've really cheered me up. Would you stop in such a town along the way? And so I'm like the double seat of beer. I'm just going from brewery to brewery and people, and I'm meeting people and shaking their hands and getting beers. And I mean, at one point there was so much beer in the Maserati that the car couldn't drive because the wheel well was touching the wheel. The weight of the car was.
Gosh.
So I started
the car down so much.
Take beer out. And yeah, I mean, yes, I'm almost there. It's like 2 a.m, getting to Vermont. And at one point I lost GPS signal. I hadn't bought a map. So I had like no mapping. And I got halfway down this iced out bridge in the middle of the night, and the bridge was closed because of how icy it was. And it said, it was an old bridge or whatever. And I had no GPS and I was totally lost. So I just backed up down this bridge. I almost started to cry. I was like high on adrenaline, but I was exhausted.
Yeah.
Driving randomly in Vermont, being like, well, I can't call anyone because I've got no reception. I don't know what to do. And I got lucky. There was some Vermont state troopers off to the side of the road, and the cherries and the berries were on. There was like 4 or 5 cars, and I pull over, and they were investigating a deer had died. It got hit by a car. So there was caper of the century in Vermont, the dead deer. And so I chatted to them, and I had the address of the bachelor party location written down, and they said, oh, we know where that is. It's, it's right over here. In fact, follow us. So one of the guys gets in the
nice.
I got a detail now. And as soon as we come around this mountain corner, I know exactly, oh, that's got to be the house, because it's up on this snowy hill, this little cabin, and I can hear it. They're blasting metal music from the house at 2 a.m. I can see that.
Already partying.
They've been partying for hours, and there's lights flashing inside the house. It's like a disco, and then there's fireworks being shot out the window. And at that point, my reception came back on, and I called them, and I'm like, I'm coming up the hill. And a bunch of them run down the hill. They're shooting off bottle rockets. One of them jumps in the car. He's wearing a fake wig with like crazy metal, pink purple hair. And I get in, and I'm like, hello, Otherworld Novak, hello. And we all start hugging like we're the oldest of friends. There's like a mosh pit going on. It's just totally crazy. And then there's one of their friends is passed out on the couch with his head on an amplifier. He had like fallen asleep drinking. So I like went into dad mode. I'm like, we got to see this hearing. And then I realized too, they're not just playing music like over the speakers. They're playing music. There's like 4 of the guys.
Oh, like actually physically playing.
Yeah. So they're just like shredding metal music. And we just mosh pit until the sun comes up, and then fell asleep. And it was crazy. Yeah, it was crazy. And then we got up.
Totally different than being at home with the brand new baby, taking care of baby. Like, opposite of that. So I love how everyone came together like you've been old friends and so excited to see each other. That was the initial interaction. So how did it go throughout the rest of the day? You're supposed to go skiing and you've only skied one time. So how did the interactions go throughout the rest of the day? Because all these people seem to know each other at least a little bit, and you're brand new to the group.
Yeah, I was definitely the interloper, but they were all very welcoming, very nice. I mean, it was a ton of people too, because there was a lot of us like high school friends from this town, and then also different kind of college guys. So it was almost like 2 groups in one. So I'm just meeting people nonstop. And then because Angelo, again, likes costumes and likes to wear crazy outfits, I'm like meeting people, but then I'm meeting them again hours later, and they're in a different crazy outfit. I'm like, wait, are you the same guy that who are you? Like, we talked about such and such. I'm like, I have no idea who you are. So a bunch of us piled in the Maserati, and then a couple of the other cars. We had to drive to Okemo ski resort, and we get there, and like ski passes are all free and all this stuff. But then they're all great skiers. So when we get there, the Chamber of Commerce is there, because this is like big news for this small town. They give us Vermont maple syrup, a key to the city. We're on a stage. And the mayor's there. It's this whole thing. And then they let us in, and the guy's like, all right, we'll see you. We're going to go ski the Black Diamonds. And I'm like, okay, bye. And then luckily the ski resort was like, hey, we'll give you free lessons. So I'm on the bunny hill with a bunch of like 10-year-olds and the ski instructor, Chris. And I wore an Arizona flag as a cape just to represent my home state. And
there you go.
I was very, very bad at it. I nearly skied into a couple of children. And actually, funnily enough, the other Will Novak tried to do a jump at one point and crashed and popped his shoulder out of socket. And so, we skied. I would see them here and there. And then the ski resort had all kinds of contests around it, because again, they were in on the fun. So they had these like, take your picture with Will or Angelo and post it on Instagram, and you could win a prize. So don't know how to ski. And people are like skiing up to me and trying to like take selfies. I'm like, I'm going to die. So that was just crazy. And then we skied all and went into the lodge at night, and they had it was just crazy. We're sitting in the ski resort lodge, and then we're on the NBC Nightly News, the national NBC Night on News. We're sitting there, and a couple of the guys were still single, and they're kind of flirting with these girls. And then it comes on NBC Nightly News on the bar, and look, we're on national television. You know, girls didn't care. Yeah, they didn't care. Yeah, then all these people start saying to us like, "Hey, what bars are you guys going to go to?" And we're like, "Well, we've looked it up. There's only 2 bars in the whole town. It's like one little main street with 2 bars. Like, so we're going to go to that one, then that one." And yeah, so we went to the bars, partied, jumped around. Again, Angelo with the outfits. He brought this whole duffel bag full of outfits. So he's like dancing on the dance floor. And he's like stripping.
Oh my gosh.
And he's like changing outfits, and people are going crazy. And we just had a big time at the 2 bars. And yeah, it was really fun. And
how was it when y'all left and parted ways? Was it like, okay, great weekend, or were you like, let's stay in touch? Let's, you know.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, well, so then that, I should also mention at the second bar, I went out to go get the car warmed up at one point to drive everyone home, because I don't drink, by the way. That's another crazy thing. These guys are all big drinkers. I don't drink. So I was the designated driver. And I went to get the car warmed up, and I left the keys in the car. I went inside to tell everyone the car was ready, and some drunk guy ran out of the bar, jumped in the Maserati, and drove it away into the snow and took it. And so for like 20 minutes, I didn't have the Maserati, and a drunk person was driving it. And luckily, he somehow got lucky, drove back in safe, threw me the keys, and he goes, "Hey, I've always wanted to drive a car that fancy. Thanks." And
oh my goodness.
I'm having a full meltdown, panic attack. Yeah, and then we went to bed.
It's a rental car now.
Yeah, it's a real. I didn't get the insurance. I only have the insurance on a minivan. So yeah, eventually we just like partied that night till like 4 a.m, passed out, and then it got to be Sunday morning. And we got a call from Good Morning America, and they said, "Do you want to come to New York City and Times Square and be on the show?" And we said, "Sure." Michael Strahan's one of the hosts, and Angelo's a big giant fan. So we all drove down there. We were on Good Morning America. We met, Jackie Chan was on that day. Vice President Kamala Harris was actually announcing she was running for president that day. We saw her in the Secret Service. I got to meet a lady whose title is America's Strongest Mom, and she arm wrestled me and like threw me across the room. And we got to be on Good Morning America and dance with Michael Strahan and be silly. And then that was over, and after the show's over, they push you out this door into this kind of back alley on Times Square, and it's like we had gone from being on top of the world to no one cared. We were just in an alley. It was freezing cold. We all said goodbye. We gave hugs, and I said, "Let's stay in touch." We've stayed in touch on social, and then I had to get in the car, and I realized I had to call the car rental center in New York and be like, because I picked the car up in Boston. And now I'm in New York, and I had to call and I said, "Can I take this car back to New York?" And they're like, "Why are you in New York? What is happening?" You know, and so, yeah. We're traveling.
A whirlwind. What a whirlwind.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And how exhilarating, too, though. So what did you, throughout the process of all that, I mean, you said lots of, like, yeses, right? Yes, I'm going to reply back. Yes, whatever. We're kind of like, are you serious? Yeah, are you serious? Yes. Then yes to GoFundMe. Yes. I mean, it was like just a lot. Yes, we want to be on Good Morning America. Lots of yeses. So through the process, from the minute you got the email till even now, what have you learned throughout that process? What have you gained?
I guess it wasn't out of character for me. I'm definitely a person that likes adventure and likes to be silly. All of my friends and people that know me, like, they said, "Of course this happened to you. It would never happen to anyone else." So it wasn't like some big life-changing thing, really, or it wasn't out of character for me, but it just reaffirmed my general feeling in life, which is like, hey, if a door opens, you should walk through it. Let's see what happens. There might be an adventure over there. I play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons and a lot of Legend of Zelda, and I've learned when someone says, "Here is a quest, here is an adventure," you say yes. You go on the quest, you see what happens, you have fun. You know, life is mostly a boring tedium of nonsense and answering work emails and just, most of us do not live an exciting life. So it's a chance to have something exciting and fun and silly and different happen. So yeah, it was good. It was well worth it.
Yes, but I also read somewhere that they're thinking of doing a movie about it. Is there any truth to that?
There's a chance. Yeah, we had gotten, right as it happened, there was some momentum, and I went out to LA. I went to all of these fancy meetings with producers, and then we got fairly far down the road about a movie, and then COVID happened, and it really killed the chances of anything other than like an Avengers type movie. During COVID, they weren't making stuff that was, not a sure thing. So now that COVID's kind of receded, it suddenly has gone viral again. It was on Seth Meyers and went on TikTok and got tens of millions of views. And so, yeah, there's been some talks about a movie. I've got some producing partners. We have a writer. We're actively taking meetings with production companies, producers, studios. It's been a little bit of a hiccup because the Writers Guild of America is on strike right now, which has slowed things down in Hollywood. So I would say, there's a good chance that there's a movie. Nothing's happened yet. I haven't sold the rights. I'm not, and even if I do, I'm not what I've heard, it's not like I'm going to get rich off this. It's like, it's just the cool fun of like, I will get to go to some little red carpet event and my children will see, hey, look, they made a movie about data. And that'd be pretty neat.
Gosh, like Dad the Adventurer, that you're like, and I'm like, so cool, because Dad said yes, because he said yes to this door open and this amazing adventure happened after it. But look at all the interesting and fun and fascinating experiences you've been able to have, but also building those relationships with a whole group of guys that you never would have met otherwise.
Yeah. And they're all super good, welcoming guys. I mean, they're on the other side of the country, so it's not like we're best pals or anything. We, follow up on Instagram and yeah, it's been a wonderful thing. And I was able to take the extra money from the GoFundMe and give it to Angelo as a wedding present.
I love it.
Start his life off because, it seemed like the right thing to do. And yeah, it's been a good, fun experience, and I'm glad it happened.
And we can't wait for the movie to come out, Will, because there's going to be an amazing movie. Yes. There's going to be an amazing movie that comes out that's really going to be a lot of fun and funny, just because just in this few minutes I had the pleasure of chatting with you. You're just an authentically funny man. And people need that right now. They need fun, they need funny, they need inspiring, they need being empowered to say yes, because as you say, there's so many mundane things going on in our lives, and they want a little fun and funny in their lives. So thank you so much for sharing your story. We can't wait for the movie to come. Yes. So be on the lookout for the movie, because I am going to have faith that it is actually going to come out, and I am going to make sure I get the best seats in the house. So I love Will's philosophy. So take this into account whenever you have an opportunity that is presenting itself to you, whether it's an email that wasn't really intended for you, or something at work or in a relationship, for you to just say yes, because as Will says, there's some adventure waiting on the other side of that. And if you never say yes, you will never know what that adventure is, and it could change your life. So thanks so much for being here. And Will, we loved having you. We'll see you on the next one. Have an awesome day. Bye-bye. Are you ready to move to your next level of rockstar greatness? CFO, Chief Fun Officer, #1 best-selling author, and keynote speaker Blaze Rector is ready to help you do that. At just 10 years old, he's already written 2 #1 best-selling books. Through the power of storytelling, he uses lessons learned and shares strategies, tips, tactics, and tools to inspire, empower, and motivate you to live a more amazing life. So if you're ready to do that in your own life, grab a copy of his #1 best-selling books at jessicarector.com/store. And when you order your copies, he will personally autograph them and write you a message on those books before shipping them out to you to really inspire and empower you in your life. These books are great for adults and kids alike. So if you're ready to move to your next level of rockstar greatness, make sure you grab your copy at jessicarector.com/store. Enjoy those amazing, empowering, transformational books. Did you know that the 2 biggest issues impacting the workforce are mental health and burnout? Well, we have your solution. The more that you feel burned out, the more it impacts your mental health. The more your mental health is impacted, the more it leads to burnout. So it's a vicious cycle that goes around and around, but it doesn't have to be that way. You can help them both if you're intentional and strategic with it. We have lots of resources for you at jessicarector.com/store. One that I want to highlight that really enhances your mental health is Tame Your Brain Game, 52 tips to turn negative thoughts into positive action. Now, research shows that 80% of your thoughts are negative. No matter how positive you feel, it's the pattern and the habit that you've developed over the course of years, over the course of decades. And that can often impact your life, how you show up, how you lead, how you communicate, how you engage, whether at work or at home. And then it also impacts a work environment. All you need is one NN or TT, negative Nancy or toxic Tim, to really impact that work environment. So if you are ready to enhance your mental health, get your copy of Tame Your Brain Game, 52 tips to turn negative thoughts into positive action today at jessicarector.com/store. All books are autographed with a personal message just for you. Thank you so much for being here. Check us out at thesayyesexperience.com. Our mission at the Say Yes Experience is to empower 10 million people to say yes. With your help in sharing our podcast, we can do that. Follow us on all social media at the Say Yes Experience and join our free community at facebook.com/groups/the Say Yes Experience. Thank you again to our guests. You can find all the contact information for our guest in the show notes. Thank you to our CFO, Chief Fun Officer, Blaze Rector, our business advisor, Lisa Verhurick, and to our team at Jessica Rector Enterprises. We look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. Have an amazing day and keep being a rock star.